Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining today. My name is Gina Fulton and I am the Marketing Coordinator at Estimating Edge. Today, Lou Irene, our Regional Sales Manager, will be going over the Edge, the professional grade estimating and takeoff solution. Before we get started, we have a couple of housekeeping items. All lines have been muted, but if you have any questions, please enter them in the questions window. We will answer them at the end. After the webinar, I will send you an email that has a recorded link. The recording will also be available to watch on demand on our website. Thank you for joining. Lou, let's get started.
All right, Gina, thank you. Thanks everyone for attending. We have a couple of slides that we're going to go through, and then we'll hop into the Edge. First, a little bit about the Edge. We have been in business since 1986. We've been involved in a lot of large projects. I think one of the coolest things on this slide is that over 60% of our customers have been with us for over 10 years. Part of that is because of the program. I think another part of it is because of our customer service. Anytime you have any issues or questions about the program, you always can call customer support and they'll help you out through your issue. Here's a little bit about our software. Now, our program is a estimation platform. There are a lot of other takeoff tools out in the marketplace where you can do takeoff and then crunch your numbers in Excel. Our program is all in one, where as you're doing the takeoff, it's creating the contract dollar amount for you. We also have a lot of databases that coincide with each of the trades that we have available. You can see across the bottom some of them, and I'll go into roofing in particular, but I'll also show a little bit of maybe drywall, acoustical, anything else that I come across, I'll point out as well. Those will probably be the main ones that we look at today. All right, so let's go ahead and switch over into the Edge. All right, so what I did here was I went ahead and brought in a couple of images, and inside of each of the pages, what we'll do is we're going to add conditions. So I have a roof drawing here. I'm going to go into that page, and what we call conditions, others call assemblies. There might be other names for them as well, but we call them conditions. And when you start out in the program, we have groups of conditions available for you to pick and choose from the beginning. And during the training, we'll help you with establishing what we call masters as well, which is basically a group of conditions with the items already stored in there, and you've already combed through it to make sure it's calculating everything that you want inside. Some of the groups that we have available are built-up groups, cold applied groups, modified, are commonly used and more popular are single ply groups. We have Duralast, EPDM, PVC, TPO. And then we also have a couple of masters that are already set up here for you inside of that single ply groups. There's quite a few in here to choose from, but again, if you don't see the specific manufacturer that you use, we comb through it with you during the training and the setup process anyway. And we also have slope groups. So you have shingle, slate, standing seam, and tile. So each of these are also available, and they're all completely customizable. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to go through single ply groups, and I'm just going to pick PVC so that we can kind of explain a little bit about how they work and what they're doing. We'll do mechanically attached PVC as an area for area takeoff. We'll do wall flashing for a lineal foot. We'll do a curb flashing as well. We'll do walk paths just for fun. We'll count a couple of drains, and we'll do some vents. All right, so that's what we're doing is we're bringing in each of these conditions now into the page. And you can see here, I now have multiple conditions inside of the page. And I can also have multiple pages in a section, multiple sections in a scenario, and multiple scenarios in a bid, which just allows you to break up the job however you like. So we'll take a look inside of this mechanically attached PVC here. We have a perimeter sheet on. The perimeter sheet is a 5 by 100, and that's rolled goods. We have an end lap of 6 inches and a side lap of 3 inches. If you wanted a perimeter sheet on, you would just flip the switch, turn that on. In the field, we have a 10 by 100 roll, 6-inch end lap, 3-inch side lap again. Anywhere you see these 3 dotted buttons, this is where we have additional database information available for you. Again, this is out of the box, this is so to speak. You will see these are a lot, but do we have every single manufacturer item in here? No, we don't. We just have enough for you to get started with and not have to sit down and program everything that you want or need into the software before you can get started with the estimation process. The rest of the system information that you'll want to plug in is going to be across the top here, these tabs. So for example, insulation is on. We have 1 layer, it's 2 inches thick, 4 by 8 sheets of an ISO. We have fasteners on, where we have 8 fasteners per sheet. If you're not going to fasten it down and you want to use an adhesive, then you'll go down here and turn off the fasteners, turn on the adhesive, and you'll go into the database and find what you're looking for or enter it in. Very easy to add items in. You'll just find something similar to what you're looking for inside of the pick, and you can make adjustments to it and then save it. Very easy to add into the database or change any of it and customize it. You can see here we're putting labels in here, but the labels are also doing calculations. So at 6-inch on center, we're saying that you should yield 300 square feet per carton, but at 12-inch on center, it's going to yield 600 square feet per carton. All of this is customizable, but we're starting you out with the manufacturer's information. All right, I'm going to switch this back to fasteners. There's going to be a couple of other tabs across the top that you'll continue on through, but you get the general idea. As you are going through, you can then save that information. You'll comb through each of these and set up whatever you like to be taken off. And then as you are doing your takeoff, it's going to bring in those specific items. Now, I just want to stop here for a second because I also want to show that we have additional trades that we can also utilize the edge for. One of them in particular was drywall that I mentioned earlier. And so I thought now would be a good time to kind of see what can be done inside of drywall as well. So I'll just open one of these and you can see it's just called interior partition. You would call it, P1003 or whatever it is on the specs. And you'll go through, and this is how we build a wall in the edge. So here we have a stud, 16-inch on center, 20 gauge, and we're doing 12 footers here. You can see as I click on some of these, the information is auto feeding forward. So you're not going to have to sit here and enter in a quantity into each section. There's going to be some auto feeding forward here to help you out and eliminate some typos. So in this particular wall, we have track A and B on, so top track and bottom track. And then we have board on. So on the board A, side A, we have board on, and you can see here we have 12 footers feeding forward from the information from the studs. The sheets are 4 by 12 and they're a fire code board. We also have something called top board type. All right, so we can use above tops. So anything over 10 feet, we can now assign an additional labor for, which means we can change the production for that additional labor. So we could say anything over 10 feet, like this example is, could be a slower production rate for you. So it just allows you, depending on the height, you could break up the wall for a top and a bottom and make slower productions if you like. Same with the board B. So as you're building out that wall, you can say that there's drywall on both sides and set up that wall right from the get-go. Also in that wall, you'll continue across the tabs across the top, just like we did in roofing. We have insulation on. Insulation is 3.5 inches thick, which you'll see is feeding forward from the information in the studs. You'll see that it's 16-inch on center and 12 feet, also feeding forward from the information on the general tab. So you'll turn on and turn off whatever it is you're looking for, and you'll continue on down the rest of these tabs. So, any additional framing, any additional layers of drywall, sometimes you want plywood on the outside or 2 layers of drywall. This is where you would add it. We've got cold roll channel that you would add in a lot of times for exterior walls. And then any miscellaneous items, any additional things that were not calculated inside of the previous tabs, you can have calculated in here. So some of these examples are sounding caulk, shot and pin, clips. If you are going to be doing some of your cold roll channel, it'll count and calculate the clips for you as well. So that's just a little bit to kind of explain that the program is able to do takeoff and do calculations as you're doing the takeoff. Here's another one. This is acoustical ceiling. So here's another, it's an area condition. So we've got an Armstrong 2x2 ceiling here, and we have a database set up with Armstrong and USG. So it has a lot of the tile already in here for you. You can see here that we have the information for each of the tiles as well. So this 770 tile is a 2x2 tile. And if you go inside of one of these databases, again, you'll just see that there's a ton in here already set up and established for you to pick and choose from. And as you change tile, you'll see that it will also change the sizes that coincide with the actual tile picked. So that's all available inside of the database. Same with the tees. So your main tee, you can have a system already saved with your long tees and short tees. If there's any new ones, you can just add them in. If there's a specific system that you want to pick and create on your own, same idea. You can also save them once you've built them out. So you can change these and then save that to the database so that next time you pick a specific type, it'll bring in the long tee and short tee that coincides with that system. It's gonna calculate wire. If you're adding any kind of insulation, if you're gonna use drywall instead, you can turn on the drywall instead of the tile. And then there's incremental measuring for the calculations of additional waste. So on here, we have it set up because it's 2x2 tile. 1 inch over 2 feet is going to bring in another tile and more tees. So it's helping you with calculating any additional material necessary based on the measurements of the sizes of the rooms. Now with acoustical and drywall specifically, we have some really cool things that we can do around smart labor, where you can have productions come in that are specific to maybe a room size for acoustical or for drywall. It could be wall height. You could have specific labors associated that will come in based on that information in the wall. All right, so that was it. I just wanted to kind of show a little bit about the other trades. Now, moving forward in roofing again, the takeoff screen is set up as a second monitor. So it's set up, the Edge is set up as a dual screen setup. So I can only show you one screen at a time. So I'm going to switch here. And this is now what's on my other monitor. So as I was building out the job and bringing in the conditions, it was putting those conditions into my takeoff screen. Now, I'll go through a little bit of takeoff here and just explain that we just brought in these images, and as we brought in those images, we then added the conditions to them, and then we started doing the takeoff. So pretty standard setup for most takeoff tools. And I would say the big piece here is that we're just grabbing quantities off of here. Now, we have some really cool features where you can hyperlink to websites, you can hyperlink to other pages. There's highlighter, you can put notes, okay? There's lots of other functions on top of just getting the quantities, but the main function of the drawing screen is primarily to grab the quantities off of the documents, which in most cases is what some of you may be doing right now. I don't have much else to kind of explain here other than as we're doing the quantities, you can see in here it's counting and giving us the measurements for each. So when we go now back to switching to my other screen, we go back to, this is what's on my other monitor now. It's now bringing those quantities over. And as it brings those quantities over, it's taking the quantities and multiplying them against the items that we picked out inside of the conditions. So the conditions are doing the math and bringing the total net cost over from the material. So we have items that are coming in, we can assign waste percentages to them. It's going to bring in whatever price you have stored in the database. If you want to make changes to the prices, you can add, you can make an adjustment to the price right there. The program's going to say, hey, that's adjusted up from what we have in the database, just giving you a heads up. So as you continue down through the rest of the program, it's also going to calculate your labor. It's going to bring those totals forward and calculate any of your markups, and then get you that contract dollar amount based on whatever the information is that you've set up inside of the conditions. So from here, I want to back up a little bit back inside of pricing. We saw the one way to add pricing into here. And what you can also do is you can then update your database. So you can say, I want to take my new price and then add that into my database. So then I can send that to the database. You can also grab a couple of items that maybe you want to get new prices on, and you can come up here and click on vendor quotes. When you click on vendor quotes, it's going to open up a page in your portal, and you'll come in here and select which vendors you want to send this list of items to, and it's bringing in the list of items. It's bringing in the quantities. You'll fill out some quick information here, and then you'll send it out to them. When they receive it, they'll log in and they'll enter in their prices. When they enter in their prices, depending on how many you send it to, you'll be able to compare them inside of the Edge. You'll receive a notification up here. It'll say, hey, you got new pricing for this specific job. It'll open you up into that job. You'll compare prices and determine which vendor you want to go with. And then when you select that vendor, it'll take the prices that they've entered in and put them into the job for you. So this is a great way to be able to kind of double check pricing, put pricing in the first place. We have some customers that maybe don't even put in a price, so they'll have it come in as a 0, and the Edge is going to say, hey, we have a problem here with this. It's going to give you the red bomb. when you select that item to see what the red bomb is, the program's going to tell you it's missing a unit price. And then you'll come in here and you can enter in that unit price, or you can get one from the vendor. What some of our customers are also saying is that on occasion, you will get a price increase. I don't think that's a news flash, but you can see a price increase coming in advance. And what some of our customers do with the program is they'll come up here, select the items that they know are increasing in price, and maybe increase that price a little bit here based on whatever the notification was that they've received. So in here, now I've updated those prices and I've increased those prices inside of the job. And if I want to stick those in my database as my new prices, I can select them and then send them into the database, just like we did before. All right, so enough about pricing. There's a lot going on here. It's bringing in the items, it's doing the calculations against the quantities, utilizing the condition, which has the system that we put together. Now, in here, the next tab is labor here, and the edge is going to calculate labor however you've set it up to calculate. So, for example, we have heat weld seams here. I like to use EU per hour. So EU is estimated unit. So the estimated unit for heat welding seams is lineal feet. So for me, maybe I could say I could heat weld maybe 50 lineal feet per hour. So if I put in 50 here and enter that in, the edge is going to do calculations all the way up and down the line here, utilizing a lot of the calculations from inside of how you want your labor calculated and, excuse me, your cost per hour. So all up and down this line, it's going to then give you hours, man days. It's going to calculate even minutes if you like. And as you're going through and entering in what you want your actual production to be, it's going to give you the total costs. So you'll get your net cost here. And it's going to bring in the production that you've saved, just like we did in pricing. And you can adjust these just like we did in pricing. So if you want to adjust production up or down based on whatever information you have for the job, you can do that in here as well. Now, again, all of this information is pushing forward onto what we call our recap screen. So we have our total dollars here coming in from the material screen. Now this will be where you'll add in maybe your sales tax. This can also be maybe where you'll add in escalation. I know that that's something that several of our customers have been able to do right inside of the recap screen. So this is just different ways to kind of utilize the system, whereas you don't have to add in additional waste. You can inside of the material, but you can also do an escalation in here as well for pricing later on down the road when you're actually going to be purchasing the material for the job. Here's labor burden. Sometimes this is broken out, so you can have this completely broken out into 5 or 6 different line items, or you can have it as one lump sum. A lot of times people start out as one lump sum, but once they realize that the program is doing all the calculations for them, they can break it out in here, and then they'll be able to see some of the subtotals that they're looking for per, FICA, FUTA, SUTA, etc. Those broken out numbers. Overhead, profit, if there's bond on the job, everything can be totaled up in here, and then this is basically where you will find your contract dollar amount. Now, from here, we have several kinds of reports that you'll also be able to utilize. So we have drawing report. This one is pretty common. A lot of times our our customers will take this drawing, and it's got the lineal footage counts and area counts here. They'll take these and they'll export them. Everything you'll see on here is exportable. So they'll export these, and maybe you want to include them in your proposal. So this is something that you would be able to include in your proposal utilizing the Edge. I know that the consolidated report is really common, popular report. This one is set up here by user code, and maybe you don't need this report right off the bat, but when you need to figure out what you need as far as material, the software already has it available for you and ready to go. I've also seen this report just for fun. I've seen this report with the unit price and the net cost removed. And then they can utilize it in the field as something that the foreman can see, where they can see what is expected to come to the job site and maybe certain aspects of the job and hours they have available too. You can see here that we have numbers, and the numbers are not whole numbers. So one of the things that you can do back on the pricing screen is you can grab all of your items and then you can round, and that'll bring your numbers up to whole numbers again. So when you go back to your report, it'll now show you 6 rolls because you can't order partial material. Okay. From here, there are lots of other reports. Just know that these are customizable. You can create your own new reports, and we have several reports available for you to pick and choose from. I also would like to show you a little bit more about our tapered insulation module. Now, this is an additional module that some of our customers like when they are doing a lot of tapered insulation. So this one is a Firestone tapered with smart heavy duty fasteners. It's a 1/4 inch slope, 4x4 pieces of Firestone tapered ISO 95 plus. It's a 3-board system, so you can see here we have XYZ on. If you make it a 2-board system, it just kind of grays out the Z and it's just doing the XY. So like we kind of did before, the rest of the information will be across the tabs and on the top that you'll plug in. But I would like to show you that it is very simple to come in here and use the Edge to do your takeoff. And as you're doing the takeoff, it's still taking the information and plugging it back into the list of conditions that we have. And I just covered it up because I can only show you one screen at a time. So I'm gonna just do these really quickly here. And all I need to do is slope the boards. So as I'm doing the areas as quickly as possible, all I need to do now is slope them in the direction of the drains in the middle there. And I'm just going to do these main sections because I think you're getting the point already. I've now created my system here. Now, a lot of times when I'm showing this, people will say, you know, I can get this from my rep. And that's true, you can. As I was doing the takeoff here, the quantities were coming across. And yes, the rep can help you out with giving you some of the information that you need. I'm just going to grab the information from this specific condition now. But as you are taking a look at this, they'll supply you with your filler board, your XYZ. But what you can also do here now is you can plug in your own waste percentage. Also, the Edge is calculating your fasteners here. So you have a fastener count by fastener length based on the information that was plugged into the tapered insulation condition. Another thing was I did this pretty quickly. It's a simple layout, but even a complicated one, you'd be able to do pretty quickly instead of waiting to get that information back. So there's a few upsides to it, and it's something that typically when we show it, there's more attraction to it after you've seen that you can do it really quickly. It's simple, and it also includes fasteners as well. Now, the one last thing is that it will then also turn on a report for you, and it'll now give you a little bit of a layout. So you can see on here, if I zoom in, you can see your X, Y, Z, your X plus 3, Y plus 3, Z plus 3, and then plus 6 for 2. You're going to need 2 filler boards on the edges there. So it's just something that I think if you do enough tapered insulation, if you're getting enough tapered insulation estimates, it ends up becoming invaluable because you're able to quickly get through your estimation and get the contract dollar out the door faster. So this is showing you the side angle where to put each of the fasteners by length. All right, one other thing to show, just in case you guys are also doing metal. If you're doing standing seam, you don't have to have a standing seam module to do standing seam. You can use the standing seam conditions inside of the roofing database. But if you want to get a cut list and you want a panel layout, we have a standing seam module available. So you can see here, we have panels. These are 18-inch, again, you're just gonna plug in whatever it is that you want. These are 21-inch stretch out. The panel length increment is 3 inches here. You'll fill in the rest of the tabs across the top for the usual for the edge, and then you'll go and do your takeoff. Now this one, I'm only going to do like a very small section here because I just want to show that one, it's easy to do. I'm not zooming in to get the lines exactly right here, but I just want you to see the same idea where you'll do the section, you'll do the high-low. So I'm going to do the low to that side, and I now have my information coming across here, and then I'll just grab the information for this condition and go into the material, and you can now see it's doing the calculations for me again. So I now have my clips and my snaps as well being counted. Same idea as before, you also have a new report, and this is something that again just saves our customers a ton of time if you're needing to create your own cut list. So here they are. Hopefully you can see these. We got a Y, a W, a U, an S, a Q, and an O. Okay, so these are all letters, A's here. And then it's also going to give you the cut list. So we now have the quantities and we have each of the labels and each of the lengths here. And that's it. Oh, you can take note that these were in 3-inch increment like we set up inside of the condition. So again, totally customizable. You can change it up as you see fit. But it's something that saves our customers time. A lot of the estimation here is saving customers time. They're able to bid the work, have high accuracy, and typically very high security as well. So the portal is something that I'd like to speak to really quickly before we go, where inside of the portal, this is something where, wait a second, first what I want to do is take this job and check it in. So when I take this job and check it in, it puts it into the cloud for me. And that makes it now stored. And it also makes it available if I need somebody else to get in there and review it, or if I have project managers that need the reports in the cloud, any of that sort of stuff, it now makes it available just by checking it in like that. So I checked it in. If I want to make any changes, I can come back in here and I can check it out. But now I'm going to click on this cog up here and go to the portal. So in the portal, this is now the information for that job. So it was just a webinar roofing, and these were our total dollar amounts. A lot of times you can have the opportunity for administrative support to come in and grab budget reports if you want to create a budget and then push that into your accounting platform. This would be a report that you'd be able to do. We also have a couple of other exports that we can build as well, and there's plenty of information here that can be pushed into accounting for that budget, and several companies that we work with. But what I wanted to show was in here, this is where you'll set up your users. So the program is set up for unlimited users. We don't track users. It's the number of licenses that determine how many people can be in the program at one time. So this will also be where you'll set up the users, give them the passwords. You'll also be able to see what licenses you have available, who's using what, and then you can also establish roles. Now this is the piece that I was speaking to earlier regarding security. So on here, you can set up, again, as many roles as you like. You can have a separate role per user, and then you can come in and set up permissions for what each user can and cannot do. So you might say, we don't want the user to be able to delete a bid. You might not want them to view all. You'll go through the list and see what it is you want them to be able to do or not do inside of the program. And you can also do the same with the database. Again, you can say you don't want them to be able to delete anything. Maybe you don't even want them to modify anything, but they can see and they can add to the database. It's entirely up to you, and you can lock it down, or you can make it available for maybe certain people to make changes to it. Okay, I feel like I was just talking on and on there. I probably should stop there and see if we have any questions come through here. Okay. Okay. All right, here's a good one. We have a good question here on per diem. So obviously the information that I showed is all pertaining to Takeoff. And per diem isn't necessarily something that you're going to pull from the Takeoff drawing or the images that you've received. So I'm going to go into conditions again here, and I'm going to go to roofing general conditions. So in our general conditions, we have labor, miscellaneous, subcontractor, and equipment. And when I bring these in, this is a great question. When I bring these in, you can see here that they're now on as conditions in here. And when I go into my material pricing screen, there's going to be new items that are on inside of here. So this is where you can add in your subcontractor. This will be where you'll determine whether you need a crane daily, a monthly, forklift, porta potty, and then here you'll see our per diem. So we have, this is again completely customizable. We do realize that there are other things that you would want to add in, so we set this up. And during your setup, your training, you'll go through this and comb through this, as well as some of these systems that you use the most as your masters. So great question. So you can see here is per diem. All right, so, okay, so this is another roofing question. It is a perimeter fasteners. Someone is getting into the detail here. All right, so we'll go into our mechanically attached PVC. And I stopped, right? I just kept saying you go across the tabs across the top and add in the information. You'll see one of those tabs is perimeter. So this will be where you'll turn on your perimeter fasteners or adhesive. And then you can also see here that you can turn on additional fasteners or adhesive for corners as well. Okay, so that person's definitely into the detail and they were following along pretty well. Okay, I think that should be it. What do you think, Gina?
I think that was great. If you want to just go ahead and pull up that last slide, I was going to thank everybody for coming. We
Okay.
do have an email to email us if you have any questions or if you would like to get a personalized demo. You can just email us at marketing@estimatingedge.com and we will be happy to set that up for you. So if there's no more questions, I hope everyone has a great day.